I'm, yeah, first of all, I'm at the boat, I'm doing some work, and it's moving very, 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 very slowly. But at least it's moving today, where it hasn't been now for, well, since I bought the boat. So I'm having to settle for literally like 5 minutes work, and I've probably done about 10 minutes work today. That's what my mental health allows me. But as long as I surrender to the pace that my mental health is demanding of me, I'll be able to start pushing it once I fall into that pace. That's what I'm looking at in terms of practicalities, because it wasn't moving at all before. I shouldn't be making this video at all. Me a level of terror, literally terror, that's how I would describe it, that I've never experienced. It's what I'm seeing is what I've done over the past 13 years is clear away my own input to my suffering in terms of my mental health. And I'm sorry for my voice, but I'm really struggling, as I'll express now. And this is the best I can really do. Hopefully, it will somewhat improve over the video, as it normally does. But yeah, no. So I cleared my input to my suffering, and what I'm seeing now is just as a result of the ignorance I had up until the age of about 23, before I got my mental health disorder. Because from there it's just, I haven't really stopped since then. But I've been trying to get on top of my mental health, and by doing that, I've had to see my mental health. So I've removed my input to life, made it very, very easy for me to say, right, what I'm suffering now is as a result of my ego, because I want this thing, I want that thing, I want the other thing, to an unrealistic level, given everything in life is unrealistic, and for that reason I'm suffering. What I've done is remove everything, so my life looks very, very realistic in terms of what I'm asking for. So what I can really head, where I can just live. And for me to live, I make noise. I have a mental health disorder. I'm peculiar, you would say. But yeah, life has thrown me a curveball, given the realms of society that we live in, where I'm being evicted and I'm having to take on a task that I'm really not up to, given my health. But I've been given it anyway, and I'm taking it on because I can't see another option. Is really my body suffering. Is really my body suffering as a result of the inevitable likelihood of me having to be on medication, whilst the system takes care of me and finds me a new accommodation and means to express. Or there is such a thing as a community, there's some sort of order where you'll be forced to take medication in the community. So either way, my body suffers. If I'm taking medication, my body's suffering, and my life is suffering. So as a reasonable request to life, I'm saying, all right, I need a shelter over my head. And I looked at all the available options to me. Purchasing a boat to live on, adding some insulation. I can never pronounce that word. I want someone to pronounce that word. I want to hear that word so I can start pronouncing it clearly. It's really it's bugged me that much, that one word out of all of language, insulation. It's like there's a block in my nose that prevents me from pronouncing it clearly every time I say it. But essentially, yeah, I'm planning to add some soundproofing to the boat, so at least it will give me some level of ability to be loud and not disturb anybody else. And then I have the option, if I'm on a boat, always to move. So if I disturb someone, I can move, be polite. I can also go somewhere in the countryside, remote. When my mental health calms down, I can come back into the city. So it gives me flexibility that way. It was really a good option given everything. But as I said, I really can't take on the challenge from my perspective. I'm having to push through a lot of things that I wouldn't have chosen. I'm having to. And as I said, it's my mental health as a result of all of this is showing me a new level of terror. Not because of itself possibly, but because life has... What used to forgive, it used to allow me of peace. So in other words, if life was demanding one way, it used to at least give me a certain level of freedom to make a coffee when I need to, or make food when I need to. Cold, but I was in the mentality to take it on. So in essence, it's never really been this bad much externally, and my mental health hasn't really ever pushed me back in terms of challenge against life this much. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like my mental health is within me, yeah? My mental health is in its favour to keep me alive. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think within that psychology somewhere, there must be the element that, right, I've got an external focus now that is really taking a lot of my energy. My mental health can only take back a certain level the other way. So where the external challenge becomes harder, my mental health normally becomes a little bit easier. I mean, it's always a challenge because I've got the focus, I've got the pressure on both sides. So where I'm pressured one way, my mental health is still keeping a level of pressure that is demanding, even though it might not be so pressured, but because the pressures are elsewhere on me, I still feel them the same. And in essence, it's changed. There's been a change. It's starting to push a lot harder than it ever has in terms of being fair. And the past few weeks have been sheer terror. I've been pushed beyond my limits, beyond my sanity, and that's where I'm coming from today. I'm insane today. I shouldn't be able to stand here and speak so coherently. I'm having PTSD. It's turning into quite depressive. I meant to try and keep it a little bit lighter, this one, but I need to paint the context, and that's what I'm doing. So I know it's pretty hard to hear probably. But yeah, what's happening is it's wiping my memory. It's not allowing me to remember. and it changes my emotions, and it's like, right, Andreas, get on with the day. But I swear, the last 2 weeks I've been put through a living hell. I just want to be sure in myself that I'm going forward and I'm not going to step into a trap here, because every day isn't pleasant. So I want to have my wits about me. That's my mentality to the scenario. It's not like me saying, I don't want to be happy because I like being miserable. No. In terms of practicality, it's good to have your mind about you if you're being constantly thrown curveballs by life and your mental health. So why it's been so bad, but it really has. But on the flip side of that, I really didn't want to make the video as a result of me just being quite sickened by my experience, and it's not. There's an element of air to these videos. When life gets really tough, trying to eat in any way, trying to nourish yourself lightheartedly, keeping yourself lighthearted when it's like sheer terror, it's a little bit difficult. And these videos add a little bit of that, but it's not just that. It's because I'm putting myself out there to the world. There's an element of that confronts my autistic nature. It's like I prefer to be by myself. I don't like to be quite so outside when I'm struggling. But I'm pushing myself to pick up the camera because it really is that bad, and if I don't, it's just going to get worse today. As I said, I've only done 10 minutes work today. Literally, I've done 10 minutes work. It's just, all right, I've been and picked up some things that I needed to, so let's say 45 minutes work, but it's just not the pace I need, given the pressures of my external life. But as I said, I'm keeping it practical. I've got a plan. I'm trying to slow down to the pace of my mental health first, and then I can start to pick it up, hopefully. But yeah, what I was going to speak about, no, I need to push myself. I'm struggling, and that's the reason for this video. So what I was going to share is a perspective how my mental health and medication have possibly made my life easier slightly in a way, given my stance on perspective on medication. Nonetheless, looking at it from this way, it's slightly made a very, very challenging scenario a lot easier. And that is, well, I'm 35 now, and I've been working a long time. I've been trying to keep healthy since I was about 20, in lots of different ways. All the while having the stress from my mental health that I've been taking on, and I've been doing as best as I can with it. I've got a past of some elements of self-harm, periods of self-harm. So what I'm trying to do is paint a perspective of my health now, because most people reach about 28 and they hit their peak, and I think what I've done with my mental health is just constantly demanded more of me. So I didn't stop when I was 28 to say, right, I'm on top. It was like my mental health said, I want more, I want more, I want more. So I kept pushing. So I kept climbing a pyramid. It was like, normally it should have stopped at 28-ish, but I pushed it and I pushed it. And because my mentality to life was health, I guess I kept it there I kept it going. That's what I'm trying to say. And I was hitting 34, and I started to realise I'm getting to that age, and I can't keep taking hits from medication. The spells of 2 months, 3 months of medication, and then the constant effort to get my body back in check afterwards. That's what happens. It's like, right, Andreas, we're going to give you medication for a month or two. I'm like, okay, I'll just hold my breath to that. And thereafter, it's probably a good amount of time to get 3 to 6 months from the medications I've been on in the past. Now, I'm going to go off on not a tangent, but I'm going to expand on it. I'm sure you're wanting to get to the point, and I will do. But so it normally takes me about 3 to 6 months to get my body back on track after being knocked off track. And where I normally find myself in hospital, I'm normally quite stressed and distressed, so my body isn't in the best place. And I work when I go to hospital. I don't just sit there and take a holiday. I'm constantly proactive. So there's a good positive energy to the challenge I take on. But what happened, not this last admission, but the admission before, which was the Christmas, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, around that time, I found myself in a place where I just didn't have the energy to ask for, I went to hospital and I spoke to the pharmacist, and I made a request for a certain, and when I got to speak with the consultant, they changed the medication from what I requested. I was just so exhausted from what the events that put me in hospital in the first place, and I was a little bit confused, offended why they would change the medication. And I was like, you know what, I don't have the energy to push this any further. It might be in my best interest. This was my thinking. Look, I've asked it, I've made my request to life, and this is where my energy stops. And you want me to put out more energy to make a second request that I was very clear of on the first time, to change a medication again. And I just didn't have it in me. And I took on the philosophy that, well, hey, control of my circumstances. The doctors obviously want me to be on this medication. Maybe they can see something I can't. I can't keep going around in these circles anymore that I was of my mental health. Maybe I've got to try this again. So I gave it a try. And it wasn't pleasant, but I don't remember anything too adverse about it. But one of the side effects is that my body was falling apart before I went to hospital. Right, if I get my body back on track this time, it's going to be difficult. But I started to get been able to. My body's been falling apart since. So the first dose of medication really did take its whack on an already failing body. I've continued to try, but one of the downsides was that I pretty much didn't poo for about a year. Really, I mean, I was going to the toilet, but I'm aware of health and I know good poos, bad poos. To be so graphic. I know the backlog that was being created. So what's happened is it was this last Christmas, isn't it, when I went for my last admission, and that was an admission that I went to die, basically. I knew my body would never recover. I knew that was it for me going upwards in terms of growing up, in terms of health. And I knew it was going to be downhill from there. There's no getting my body back in my mindset. I was struggling from the previous medication installment, that's what I mean. There's no real hope in me applying a mentality of health to my body anymore to gain health. It's all a case of applying a mentality of health just to limit further degradation. You know the word I'm trying to say, upon my body. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep sane about it. But the flip side to everything is that where it's killed me, so to speak, and it has, it's nothing like the medication's killed me, but it's just circumstance, and the medication was the final nail in the coffin. But what's happened is I found the solution to maintain a healthy bowel movement, and I'm starting to. These videos must be really hard to hear for everybody. I mean, even when it's light-hearted, I talk about things that are hard to hear. So essentially, we begun to I'm struggling to keep it polite in any way, and the laughter isn't helping in any way, the smiles to maintain it. So I'm just going to say it, and that is I've started to clear away the backlog as a result. So in my death, my body's dead now in my mind. I'm not going to put in an attempt to regain health. Like big spike in my side, so to speak, with regards to my digestion, my bowel movements from the previous admission, and with me beginning to make a clearing where I find myself in death. I'm having this removal, this big chunk that I'm removing and starting to get clear, so I'll have an easier time, an easier start in a period of death. It must be hard to hear, especially because all my videos are depressing, and there's a sincere attempt to just be a bit more lighter, and I guess where I've been depressed, it's still coming across. I can hear it in my own voice. I can see it in my own life. But yeah, that's all. It was just to share something that, given this horrible thing that I think that I don't like in terms of medication, as a matter of circumstance, as a matter of it killing me, the way it's happened, where I find myself in a place of that was inevitable to come. I was inevitably going to find this place. Just life has presented me a means to begin this in terms of having health in my body with an easier start. So maybe that will hopefully bear fruit later down the road.